Welcome back to the Sober Sofa. My name is Shanti Patty Owen. I am your host for this channel where we discuss all topics related to addiction and sobriety. When I first came into the rooms of the 12-step rooms for alcohol, I was pissed. Everybody was so saccharine sweet. It's like, oh, are you new here? Can I help you? Would you like my number? I am a sex addict, love addict, an alcoholic, a compulsive gambler, and a debtor. For those of you who are new to my channel, welcome, an extra special welcome. I'll give you a very brief background on myself. In the 80s, I was a very well-known model, which is probably where many of the seeds of my current addictions were planted. And then in the new millennium is when many of these seeds bloomed, and boy, did they bloom. I got sober in 2012 from sex and love addiction, and in 2016, I got sober from alcohol, and I am currently working a new program related to money issues and debting. So you might ask, why am I qualified to talk on this subject? For the last 8 years, I have been working as a sober companion and a sober coach in this field. I did extensive training, and I have a lot of experience working with others who have addiction issues, in addition to my own addiction issues, which I have to constantly keep at bay. So the topic of today's video is why the 12-step programs. I'm very happy to talk about this as someone who's been on both sides of the camp. When I first came into the rooms of the 12-step rooms for alcohol, I was pissed and I hated the meetings. I did not find a sponsor. I did not have fellowships with other people in the meetings. I think it was because I didn't want to be an alcoholic. And I already knew very clearly that I was a sex and love addict. And I thought, well, that's pretty challenging already right there. And to me, I was upset because I thought, oh, now I can't drink. So it took me a while. So I can empathize with people who don't like the 12-step meetings. At first, I hated them. Oh my God, everybody was so saccharine sweet. And it's like, oh, are you new here? Can I help you? Would you like my number? So I'm going to tell you that it really isn't the meeting as much as it is our inner state. When I finally realized I truly was an alcoholic, I started enjoying the meetings a little more, but I didn't love them. And during COVID, we had Zoom meetings. And so I went to meetings all over the country and all over the world, and I fell in love with the meetings. Apparently, the meetings in the area where I was living, the type of people there just, how do I say it? They just weren't my type of people. Not that I didn't like them. It's just our backgrounds were so dramatically different. And I've been an artist most of my life. And so I attended a lot of meetings downtown in Manhattan, in the West Village, in Soho, in the East Village. And I really found my people. So don't lose heart if the meetings you're attending to don't pull at your heartstrings. Keep going, keep checking, and keep checking meetings online. They're fantastic. You also don't even have commute time. I love the Zoom meetings. Love, love, love. It saved my life. Living in New York City during COVID, we were hit first and hardest. So it saved my life going to the meetings. Okay, here's what, from my opinion, why I finally fell in love with the 12-step meetings. It replaced my bars. It replaced my parties. It replaced my lounges. It replaced. Because what happens when we get sober off of any addiction, there's a certain environment that we really can't hang around anymore because it's triggering for us. So hanging out for hours at a bar was no longer my jam. It just was too triggering, and I needed to find a community that I could relate to. And I surely can relate to other addicts because I got it. And hanging out, okay, so for people who don't have addiction issues, I'm going to tell you a little secret. All the cool people go to 12-step meetings. I'm not kidding you, because those cool people that used to get drunk and high and, wrapped around a flagpole at 4 a.m. in the morning, those are the same people who go to the 12-step meetings. They are they're vibrant, they are interesting, they are full of love, and they're also full of a lot of humility because let's face it, we've had some pretty dark spaces in our life. I want to tell you a story about a woman that I met down in Nashville. Yes, Nashville, Tennessee. I was working with a client as her sober companion, and it was a meeting we went to down in Nashville. And I happened to notice this very well dressed woman, really, with jewelry, her hair done, makeup, her nails, the whole 9 yards. And it was a morning meeting. I think it was 9 a.m. She was all done up. And if any of you ever watched, there was an old series in the 80s. It was called Dallas. Okay, I'm dating myself. Anyway, that's what she looked like to me. But she was talking to this guy who looked to me like a homeless derelict. I mean, he had long, skinny, straggly hair, kind of partially balding on the top. His skin was weathered, very wrinkled. He had tattoos. His clothes were ripped up. I didn't know if they were ripped up because he was trying to be cool or if he was homeless. I really didn't know. But they, before the meeting, were chatting away like they were besties. I was really shocked. And then when it was her turn to share, because there is a point in most meetings where we do get to share our story. Now, mind you, we're in Nashville, so she had an accent, which I thought was very endearing. And she just introduced herself and she said, for the longest time, my husband told me I was a drunk. My kids told me I was a drunk. I think she was maybe in her early to mid 60s. She goes, but I was like, no, I'm not. I just like a drink here and there. And she goes, I finally realized I was just a boozer and a loser like everybody else. And she said, I finally woke up. So, I mean, listen, we don't go to 12-step meetings specifically for entertainment. It is to keep us sober or get sober. But I will tell you, there are some really entertaining characters that I have met in the meetings. And so my life is not only interesting and entertaining, it's also healthy and sober. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, what about rehab? Or what about sober living? Or what I do, a sober companion or a sober coach? They're all fantastic, absolutely amazing. But the 12-step program and the 12-step meetings is an ongoing program that you can do for the rest of your life. You're not going to go to rehab, hopefully, more than once or twice. But the 12-step program has an incredible community. Community is key to being healthy and sober. We need people. We need support. We need to be able to pick up the phone on one of those dark days. And they might not necessarily be a dark day related to, oh, I want to drink again, or I want to drug, or I want to act out sexually. It could just be a dark day emotionally. And one of the reasons why many of us used substances or behaviors is because we couldn't handle these dark emotions. And to be able to pick up the phone and call somebody from program, it's priceless. Now, you might be wondering, can you get sober or stay sober with 12-step programs? And the short answer is yes. And the other question is, can you stay sober without 12-step meetings, 12-step programs? And the short answer is yes. Here's the difference. There are other programs that ongoingly help people stay sober. They're definitely not as plentiful as the 12-step programs. I have gone to some of them and they're lovely, but there are very few and far between. I know, and I travel a lot in my job, I can go anywhere in this country, anywhere in the world. I've gone to meetings in other countries, and I feel at home. It's a wonderful, soft, lovely landing to have wherever we go. So that's the long and tall of it. 12-step programs, 12-step meetings. Do it. Go there. If you don't like the meeting, try another one. They really are miraculous, an amazing support system. Now, I did mention earlier about the community that we get when we go to these 12-step meetings. So I want to talk about community. I want to talk about this community here at the Sober Sofa. So if you would tell your stories in the chat function, in the comment section, It doesn't have to be an enormously long bit about your history, but if you could let us know a little bit about your successes, your challenges, your wins with sobriety, would be greatly helpful, not just for me, but for everybody. Now, I know that we have shy people. They have sent me many emails. If you would like me to tell your story, because you're too shy to leave it in the comment section, please do that. Please send your story via email to sobersofa@gmail.com, and I will tell your story. More and more, I am going to be telling other people's stories. I'm going to be interviewing people, and I'm going to be telling other people's stories. Of course, I'll still tell you, bits and pieces of my story. But where we grow the most is sharing our stories. I want to hear stories from everybody, from every walk of life, from every situation in life, whether you're just new to sobriety, whether you're not, or you could maybe not even be sober yet, but you want to be. Any place you're at is perfect. Please, if you would like to send a comment, would be amazing. And again, for you shy people, sobersofa@gmail.com. I really appreciate everyone. Please come back again and again. Thank you guys so much for subscribing to this channel, for hitting the bell notification, and for thumbs up to my videos. Let's grow this channel. As a matter of fact, why don't you send my videos to anyone that you think could really benefit from them? Like I said, you don't have to be a sober superhero. You could be new to sobriety. It could help somebody. It could save somebody's life. And also, you could send it to your loved ones who maybe don't understand your sober journey. Maybe they really don't understand the addiction journey, and this might help them better understand you. Thank you again for coming to the Sober Sofa. I look forward to seeing you every week, and I'll see you next week.